What is up, YouTube? What is up, family? We have an interesting video here that I'm sure you all are going to love. Why are French people so rude? Pourquoi? Why are you guys so rude? My thoughts as a local in France is going to tell us why you guys are so rude. Ooh, it just got a little more interesting. Let's go.
If you've ever ordered a coffee in Paris and thought, why does the waiter hate me?
Parce qu'on dit pas, hey garçon, cherche-moi un café s'il vous plaît, connard. Of course, it's gonna hate you if you say it like that.
Probably are not yet aware of some unspoken rules I'm about to share with you. So first of all, I have to say that the stereotype of the rude Parisian is not entirely untrue. Like, if you think Parisians are rude, you have to know that the rest of France probably also agrees with you.
Oh, alors c'est juste dans Paris. Ah.
Paris is a really big city. There's around 12 million people living around Paris. It's super big.
Attends, we don't need this. She's speaking perfect English. Okay. Sorry. I didn't need that.
Very big city. There's around 12 million people living around Paris. It's super busy, it's really crowded, and also people here are on a mission. Like, I've read this article called Why Do We Hate Parisians? I've learned that almost 80% of Parisians were not born in Paris. And it often feels to me like a lot of people move here for a few years for work, and then when they're ready to have a chiller life, they move out to somewhere quieter. So you
the suburbs.
You need to keep that in mind when you're visiting Paris. I feel it's like that in every big city in the world. Like, you wouldn't go to New York City and expect people to be nice. Like, New Yorkers are famous to be rude as well, and I even
ask a New Yorker what time it is. They'll be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Look at your phone, stupid." Oh, they don't really talk like that. Actually, they probably do.
I feel it's also part
New Yorkers are definitely assholes.
of the charm, the energy of the city. Also, in Paris, there's so many touristy things to do, and if you're on the tourist trail, you're not gonna have the best interactions. So there's around 50 million people who visit Paris each year. So this means that the touristy places are really super crowded. And most of the time, if you're visiting, you're just gonna have interactions with people who work in customer service around touristy areas.
And they're already pissed off. They hate their life.
And I can tell you that these people are overworked, underpaid, and they're answering the same question 1,000 times a day. But also, even if you go to non-touristy neighborhoods and you try your best, things can still be pretty hard unless you know what I'm about to tell you. So there's a lot of debate in the comment section of my channel on whether or not Parisians are rude or visitors are just missing something. And those comments really touch on a crucial point here, is if you don't know those rules, you might yourself be rude as well. So you're not being personally victimized by Parisians, you maybe just don't know the rules. Alright, so here are a few things a lot of people do that might get them into trouble with Parisians. The first one, and I've said it so many times in the channel, but it's that important, is to always say hello when you start an interaction.
Bonjour, connard. Bonjour, madame. Idiot. Stupid. Débile. No.
Hello in French is bonjour. If you don't remember, you can just say hello, but it is so important to acknowledge the other person when you're starting an interaction. If you do not start your interactions with bonjour or hello, you are being rude by French standards, and Parisians will let you know that.
Attends. Si tu dis pas bonjour dans any pays, you're going to be considered rude. Seriously. I mean, you don't just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, how do I get to the Eiffel Tower?" I mean, if I was visiting France and I was an American who understood both languages, and a tourist came up to me from America and said, "Hey, where's the Eiffel Tower?" I would say, "What? Man, get the I'm just saying. Of course, you guys say, "Hello, excuse me. Mon français is really not bueno." You'd be like, "What?" At least he tried a little bit. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Bonjour. Where is the Eiffel Tower? But it's better than say, "Hey, where's the Eiffel Tower?" I mean, come on. That's not just Paris. That's the world.
That you've been rude. And in a lot of comments on my channel, people always say that this was the thing that helped them the most. But there's a few other things as well that are specific to Paris. And a big one is how you act in transportation. So transportation, the metro system can be a big source of frustration for Parisians. The Paris metro is very crowded. It's apparently the 9th busiest metro in the whole world. And it's very, very dense.
Because you guys have an amazing transportation system. I've seen it in other videos.
So you really want to mind other people's personal space, like you want to walk fast enough, you want to get out of the way, you want to stand on the right-hand side of escalators if you're not moving. And if you're not doing that, people will let you know. They will just move past you and just be pardon, which means pardon me, but in a sassy way. And you will not have a good time. You will feel people are rude to you, but you're just inconveniencing people. And it's okay in France to let people know when they've made you unhappy. We'll talk about that later when we talk about deeper.
That's the way it should be everywhere. If you piss me off, I should be able to tell you that.
Cultural difference.
See, we're taught, no, don't be rude. Even if they're not nice, try to understand. And you know what? In France, they're like, hell no. You just tell them you're an asshole. You just tell them, trop de cul. Et voilà. Vous êtes un trop de cul. You just say it. If you feel it, you say it.
In smaller French cities, I feel people will be a bit more
Ma mère est de Lyon.
patient with you, but it's overall better to always mind your personal space and always mind other people. Then a really big one is the relationship to service workers. In France, when you go to a shop or a restaurant, you're a guest in someone's establishment, which means you need to let them take the lead and tell you what to do. And this might be very different compared to other countries where I feel sometimes service workers are treated a bit like servants, and
she's not wrong.
this is a big no-no in France. No
Good.
one wants to be treated like a servant, and people will not be patient with you because they don't have to work for tips, especially in restaurants. So people in the service industry are not required to be nice to you if you're not being nice to them.
And that should be a world law.
If you're just polite, you say hello and thank you, you won't have any issues. But keep that in mind and don't get frustrated at people, especially if they don't speak any English.
57% of the French can speak and understand basic English. Oui, c'est vrai.
And I want to look together at this really interesting comment I got on my channel. I went to a restaurant in Paris last year and had a very bad experience. I was just asking the waiter to give us 5 minutes to decide the order, but he just said no English, only French. And I tried explaining, but he was very rude and I literally had to get up and leave the restaurant.
No English, only French. I understand, but he's wrong. But I understand. See, that's the attitude I've been told from some French people. Don't speak to a French person expecting them like they're supposed to know English. You know what I mean? No, they're not supposed. You're supposed to know French if you want to go to France and speak a little bit to people. Not, I'm not even going to learn how to say hello. I'm just going to assume the French people should know how to speak English. So I'm going to go there. I'm just going to speak English. I understand. That would piss me off too. It would. If somebody just from Venezuela came over here and just started speaking Spanish to me, and I'd be like, hello, no comprende español. A mí no comprendo inglés. Well, then now we got a problem. You came over here, buddy. Not my job to know your language. You know what I mean? So je comprends ça. À la même temps, if it's a tourist who's just coming to visit your country and he wants to have some food, I mean, maybe the waiter could have been a little nicer. I would love to know how she said, give us 5 more minutes. You know what I mean? That matters too. Can you please give us just 5 more minutes? This menu looks amazing. I just need a little more time. The food looks delicious. You know what I mean? Just give me a little more time. Right? That's not too bad. Or, excuse me, we're not ready yet. Can we have 5 more minutes? Tu vois la différence?
restaurant. Often when people don't speak French and the waiter or the service person doesn't speak English, some big misunderstandings can happen. Often people will get confused and, just look at you with a weird face that you might interpret as rude, but it's fully normal in France. What I recommend here is that you stay patient, that you don't expect people to speak English, and at worst, if you don't understand something at the restaurant, just point at something someone is eating and just say that you're gonna have that. That's the universal method that always works when people don't speak your language. I do have to warn you though that if you start speaking louder and louder, people will think you're aggressing them and they will give you an attitude, because it is totally okay to match the attitude of the customer. And
That's awesome. That should be everywhere. Over here, you're not allowed to do that. Over here, we have this stupid saying, the customer is always right. Bullshit. More than half of the times, the customer's wrong.
Sometimes, even if you know those rules, even if you're trying your best, I still see people who have a bad experience in France. And I want to get a bit deeper into cultural differences and culture shocks. And for that, I want to show you this TikTok called France Made Me Cry.
France made me cry. Oh, my poor.
So this girl's name is Angela. I don't know her personally, obviously, but her TikTok went pretty viral a few months ago, and I've tried to gather as much context as possible. First of all, I really want to empathize, because it is so hard to make friends as an adult, and it's so hard when you're traveling solo, when you feel you're not really understanding the people and people are not very nice to you. So I really want you to keep that in mind when you're watching this video. We're not going to criticize her. We're going to try to analyze why someone might feel this way.
To be honest, the experience is very isolating. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful city. People here, they seem very indifferent.
See, the first thing she did wrong was buy that stupid hat. You don't have to buy the hat and act like I am visiting France, so I have to buy that hat. I have to look French. No, man, you're a tourist. Plus, you look Asian. So who are you trying to look like? Just take the hat off, first of all. That's the first thing, right? Am I wrong? Don't wear a hat like that. That's going to piss some French people off. It would me. I'd be like, who are you trying to be? You are not French. You know what I mean? All right, anyway, let's see.
So a lot of people underestimate how different France is gonna be from their own country. And people think they know the cultures because they've seen all the movies about France. They've seen Ratatouille, they've seen Emily in Paris. France is everywhere. It's a pretty well-known country. And they might come to France and not think it's gonna be very different from where they live. But obviously this couldn't be further from the truth. My boyfriend Bobby is American. We've been together for 8 years. He has done so much work to feel integrated in the French culture. So it has been a really long journey, and I've personally seen him go through all the frustrations, but also the positive aspects of trying to blend in a bit more in a culture and re-understanding my culture. And on my side as well, I've done the same work, but in the US, so I understand what it is like to, just go to a different place that you feel is quite similar to your home country. Things don't look too different in New York, compared to Paris, but things are really different, and the way people relate to each other is very different. And one thing that has helped us feel more integrated into each other's culture and meet other people easily is to do different group activities. Last weekend with Bobby, we went on a wine tasting and food pairing class at this super cute wine shop, and it was so fun. You get to learn about 6 different wines from different French regions, and also on how to
the food. That's all I need to know in France. Where is the food?
pair them with food, which I can tell you was a really good time. And I've booked this activity on Klook. Klook is a long-term partner of the channel, and if you're traveling, you should try them. They have really great deals on activities and hotels, both in Paris and around the world. At the moment, they are running a special Black Friday sale with a 25% discount on many experiences.
You're not getting that sale today. I'm sorry. We're past that.
Plus, you can click the link in the description below or use my code LucilleYTKlook for an additional discount. Alright, so I'm gonna give you the key here to understanding this whole debate. Politeness is not the same thing in France than in other countries. Being polite in France, it's not being friendly, it's not being nice, it's having the appropriate distance in social interactions. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that by a very simple thing. When I moved to the US at first, I was so overwhelmed. People were talking to me all the time. There was a lot of small talk. I didn't know what to answer when...
I think Germany has the same problem with Americans. They're like, uh, c- did you just ask me how my day is going? Is this American serious? He really wants to know how I'm doing? Okay, well, let me explain to him how I'm doing. And then they tell you a whole story. And the Americans just like, oh no, how you doing just means hello, man. I don't I really could care less how you doing. So there's confusion there. And I kind of, yeah. A lot of us, yeah, we talk a little too much. We do.
when people were trying to have small talk with me, so it was very different. I'm
Yeah.
used to people, acknowledging me, saying bonjour to me, but then,
That's it.
keeping me at a bit of a distance. And it's because in France, people value their personal
Look at this, though. Oh, I love this.
space. There's also different levels of closeness. You don't speak the same way to someone you're gonna only see once. There's many different levels, and for each level of closeness, you have different ways of interacting. Keep that in mind and don't be offended if people don't want to speak to you. And also,
But they want to kiss you on the cheek on both sides. That's no problem. That's really getting close. You know what I mean? Just to say hello. Really close. But they're like, hey, keep your distance when you're talking to me.
in this video, Angela says something that I find very interesting.
People make you feel bad for not knowing their culture or speaking their language.
And obviously, most people don't want to make you feel bad. People don't wake up in France with an agenda of making visitors feel awful. You have to know that France is a very strong culture. When you grow up in France, everything revolves around France. All the movies are dubbed in French. We have a lot of French-speaking movies,
We know him.
French-speaking books, songs, food. Everything is French. We are very French. And that doesn't mean France is not a diverse place. France is a diverse place. There's a lot of people who have a foreign parent, moved here a bit later in life, and there's people from many different countries here. But the culture in France is very strongly French, and French people expect other people to adapt to their country when they're visiting. So here, I'm not here to judge if it's good or bad. That's for you to decide. But that's just how it is. When you're in France, you'll be expected to adapt to the French culture and customs. And people will let you know, and sometimes in a way that you might interpret as rude, but they're actually trying to help you. And we're gonna talk about that in the next section. So in her video, Angela mentions that she has been here for 5 to 6 days and she hasn't met anyone. And I am so sorry to say, but as a French person, that is to be expected. And that's because of the cultural differences in friendliness. As a French person, I can say with 100% certainty that I have never made friends in such short of a time.
I can guarantee you, if I went to Paris for 7 days, I would make a friend. I guarantee it. I would be one of those 3% that will show you that the French are wonderful people and they would love this American. Guarantee it. 100%. I'm not even lying because I've been to France and maybe things have changed, but I was only 17, 18. I remember this experience like it was yesterday. I was about 17, 18 years old, maybe 16, 17. And I was visiting my family, my aunts, my uncles. I was in the country somewhere. I wasn't in Paris, so maybe it doesn't count. But I was in the country. And at some point I was playing a video game. I was playing an arcade game. I tell you, I remember this. And as soon as one girl realized I was an American, in about 5-10 minutes, there were like four or five. There was like 4 girls and 5 or 6 guys. All, like I had a crowd around me, asking me, "Ah, vous êtes américain?" Oui, je suis américain. Oh, and they loved it, and we were getting along wonderfully. Even a couple of cute girls too. But I'm just saying, like, it was really good. It was fun, and I had a great time. I could have. I tell you, if I had just hung out another 1 day or 2 days with them, oh, I'd be hanging out with them. I'd be like, hey, where are we going today? Where are we going? Where are we eating? What we drinking? Well, I was 16, but well, who cares? I still drink. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, there was never I never in my life received attitude like, ooh, vous êtes un Américain? Like, and it was like, ugh, like je déteste les Américains. Nothing like that ever. So I'm telling you, these people are doing something wrong. They are communicating incorrectly with people. It's a damn shame. Parce que les Français, ils sont très gentils. I don't even agree with French people are rude. I mean, if you come up to them and you say stupid shit, of course they're going, but that's everywhere in the world. It's not just France.
Like, obviously, I've met people I've been friendly with. I've had good interactions with strangers. Also, small talk is not as much of a thing in France, so that's not how you meet people. Like, if you're approaching people and being overly friendly, French people might think you're deranged. Like, you have an issue. You have a serious issue. And it's because people don't smile as much here. I'm considered to be a very smiley person in France. People always compliment me on how I smile all the time, how I seem very happy, but it's just not the rule here. People don't smile as much as, for example, in the US. It's because what I was telling you before, being polite in France is having the right distance with people. So if you come to a random person and you're being overly friendly, you're asking them a lot of personal questions, people will think you're being fake. And being seen as being fake in France is bad. It's not a good thing.
Everywhere else too. If you're fake, you're fake. Nobody likes you.
Like, for example, in France, you don't ask questions you don't want to hear the answer to. Like, for example, when you say, hey, how are you, when you're at a shop.
Tu vois? C'est la même chose in Germany. They say the same thing.
You would never do that in France. If someone asked me, ça va? Which is how are you in France, I would think they are concerned for me. Like, for example, I have blood running down my face, or it looks like I'm not feeling good. It's not just seen as a little thing people will do to be polite.
Ça va ta tête?
Also in France, friendship is seen as a long-term thing, so this is why some people might have issues integrating at first. It does take time to make friends in France, but once you're in, you'll have the same friends for forever if you keep in touch with people. There's also more of a group mentality. Often you need to be introduced by other members of the group. And now I want to take a bit of time to empathize with Angela, because I had a similar experience when I moved to the US. Like, I could have made the same TikTok called "The US Made Me Cry," because I did cry. And here I'm only half joking, but my experience in the US is that often people can be very nice and over friendly. People love small talk. It's so easy having nice micro interactions with strangers, but this doesn't always translate in real friendship. Like, for example, every random person I would meet were just telling me, oh, you should come to my house, you should hang out with me next weekend, but they were never following up. And as a French person, where being nice is not mandatory and you're actually only friendly with your friends, I was reading the room wrong, and I thought these people wanted to be friends with me when they're just being polite. So yes, cultural differences can be really tough, and when you're traveling somewhere, you're bound to have misunderstandings. So my advice is to stay strong, don't take things personally, although it can be hard sometimes, and just try to adapt as much as you can.
It's very true, though. Don't take nothing personally. She said it right there. That's the main thing.
However,
who cares? Somebody thinks you're an asshole, so what?
There's an aspect of the French culture that I don't fully agree with, is our relationship to negativity. And one of the reasons this TikTok really went viral is because Angela says this at some point.
I almost feel stupid for coming here, spending money. I even bought a French hat.
That was stupid. I agree. You look ridiculous.
And unfortunately, the comments were really what I expected.
You know, people were laughing their ass off when she said that.
People are roasting her. And I'm sure Angela might have had some real life.
She probably cried way more after she posted that video.
Experience of that as well, because that's a thing that's really big in the French culture, being at ease with negativity. So here, for example, if you say something that's just a tiny bit silly, people will go ahead and roast you. That's 100% part of the French culture.
I love that part of the French culture.
I get roasted all the time by people.
Pain au chocolat. Un, pas une. Un pain au chocolat.
So this scene is actually pretty common. People will correct you and they will think they are actually helping you.
I've never been corrected. I've watched the comments on my channel and no one has ever corrected my French, so I don't know what the hell she's talking about. I mean, my French is perfect. I've never been corrected, not even once. Can you believe that?
And I personally choose to never correct people who are actually trying their best to learn French and to speak French, because I don't like being corrected. People understand you, that's good enough. And being honest and
That's the main thing. Did you understand me?
authentic is really valued in France because it's seen as being a strong part of developing friendships. Like a silly example is that
Developing, not developing. Develop. Tu vois, je peux le faire aussi.
when I'm in the US and I ever say something bad about myself, like for example that I look tired or that something doesn't fit me, every time people always answer with like, oh no, you look so good, you're amazing, you're beautiful. And I don't really like it. This kind of sets a doubt in my mind that people are just saying that to be polite, and that's not actually true because I know I do look tired. And I do value the honesty of French people in conversation sometimes, where people will be like, this dress doesn't look good on you, but this one does. So you know that when a French person is telling you something positive, they mean it. It's
Voilà. Alors, je vais dire à ma femme, quand elle me regarde, il dit, hey, c'est bien ce outfit? C'est bien? Je vais dire, attends, on va demander les Français. Ils vont te dire la vérité.
not realistic to expect everyone to be friendly to you in a big city in such short of time, but if you're aware of those cultural differences, you can 100% have a great time while you're traveling to Paris. And for that, I recommend you check out a local area and watch one of those videos next.
I would definitely have no problem visiting Paris. And trust me, no problem. I'm not worried about it. See, people go there with the intention of, they already got it in their head. Like, oh, I hope I don't screw up. I hope I don't make a mistake. I hope the waiter doesn't hate me. Like, just go there like, hey, everybody hates me. And this way, the attitude is already, all right, I know everybody hates me. Who cares? Let me just enjoy my time. But I'm telling you, I've never had, I seriously, I'm not even saying this. I have never had a French person be rude to me. Ever. And my French is definitely not good. So, I don't know. Interesting video, to say the least. Interesting video. But I have a feeling you could make videos like this. Why are Italian people so rude? Why are Spanish people so rude? Why are Americans so rude? Like, you know what I mean? You could do this for every country. Because if you're an asshole, it doesn't matter where you go. People will be rude to you. That's the video. The video should say, why are people rude to assholes? That's what the video should be. Who wants to make that video? Should we do that? Oh, somebody needs to make a video like that. Because then you don't just like, oh, it's France where people are rude. It's America where people are rude. No, trust me. People are rude everywhere. If you piss them off. If you piss them off, they're going to be rude. I'm telling you, she did something wrong. Other than buying a French hat, she did something wrong. That's why she got a bad experience. She did something wrong. She thought everybody's going to love me because I'm a tourist. Worst attitude to have. Okay, take care. Peace out. À la prochaine. I like this video. Il est pas mal, cela. Il est un peu little tired looking. She's a little tired looking. She doesn't look that great either. I guess that now she's happy because actually she's pretty. She's full of shit. She's pretty. She's a pretty girl. She don't look tired. Maybe she looked tired on the day that she was tired, but she don't look tired here. She look tired? No. So anyway, but she's right. A lot of people say, "Oh, you look great. You look what? You don't look old. Oh, stop it. You like, man, I can see the wrinkles everywhere. Telling me I don't look old. Shut up. Now I don't like you. See, now I become rude because you're lying. It's a worldwide thing. Peace out. Bonsoir. À la prochaine.